Hello devs, Sid the IT guy here, and this is a video about Multi Auth in Laravel. So before we start this video, I just want to tell you that I want to create a new playlist called PR Reviews. So I will encourage you to submit your pull requests to my repository, or if not, if you are just a beginner or you are just starting experience in Laravel framework, then you can forward your GitHub repos to my LinkedIn profile. The link will be in the description box below. And if you like my content, please consider dropping a like or subscribe. So let's begin. So the configuration begins in config auth.php. So here we see that there is something called guards, so which would mean that we can define our own guard here. And if we check the default one, it says guard web. So anytime we write the command like, let me zoom in. So anytime we write the PHP function like this, auth check, what we are really doing is we are writing this auth guard web check. These are the two equivalent statements. So if you remove this, it will work the same because the default is set as web. Yeah. So because the default one is set as web, then the auth check would implicitly just take the web middleware. But if we want to define our own guard, then it will work something like this, where it will be like guard, and inside this it will be a string, and it will say my guard, which is something that we will define in this video. So let's close this out. Yeah, so let's keep the default as the web one. We don't want to touch that. So here I don't want to mention admin because I already have an admin in the app that I've been building. So let's say DevOps. This is the new user authentication that we will add here. So it can say driver is session and provider is DevOps. Now, driver is session is fine, which basically means that the authentication will be stored in the session variable of PHP, and the provider users, I have to change this to DevOps, which would mean that I have to create a table and a model with the same name. Okay, so basically the provider, yeah, so provider should match here. So in the providers array, we'll add this again. So DevOps, and that will have driver as eloquent and model as, yeah, here I have to specify the path of the model that I will create. So let me create the model for it. And by the way, this is for Laravel framework 8.83. Even if you are using the latest version of Laravel, it should work pretty much the same way. So we will do PHP artisan make model DevOps -m. So it has that, and so we can copy this and we can change this to DevOps. So that should be fine. Let's scroll down a little. For users, we can keep it. I'm going to copy the same thing and mention DevOps here. Yeah. So basically this means that for the resetting passwords, I'm going to use the same table password resets that Laravel by default provides it. And password timeout, we don't want to do anything here. Yeah, that should be good enough. So let's run PHP artisan optimize once. So the new configuration is saved. Okay, it hasn't finished. Yeah, PHP artisan optimize. Yeah, this is done. So now how are we going to define the middleware? So let's open up the web.php. Okay, so let's see here. So how we say route middleware auth, it is basically saying the same thing as auth colon web. So this means that we are specifying which kind of driver we want to use. But in this case, we can say DevOps like this, and it will automatically assume that table for checking if user is authenticated or not. So let's create a new route here itself. So route, I can say middleware is auth DevOps, and I can group it. So let me also prefix it with DevOps. Yeah, route get dashboard, and I can say, let's just define it here itself. DD here for the DevOps dashboard. Yeah, yeah, this should work just fine. Okay, so let's define the table structure for the DevOps table. So what I'm going to do here is I'm taking the users one, copying it as it is, and I'm going to paste it here. Now the timestamps one is not working in my case for some reason. So I'm going to copy this here, and in the model I'm going to set public timestamps equal false. So DevOps, here we can say protected guarded equals nothing, and public timestamps equals false. This is done. Okay, so now let's run PHP artisan migrate. Yeah, so DevOps table. Yeah, so here we have our DevOps table, which is pretty much the same as the users one. You can add extra columns, obviously, but let's keep the email and the password column here because we would need it to authenticate. Okay, so okay, there is one other thing that I wanted to mention. So how we say route middleware guest. So guest one means that the user shouldn't be authenticated in that case. So I can group it. Yeah. So how we said the guest middleware. So we can also say the guest DevOps. So it would mean that someone shouldn't be authenticated on the DevOps middleware authentication, I mean. So this is how that works. So we can say route get. Actually, let's create a new controller itself. So PHP artisan make controller DevOps controller. Yeah. And let's remove this right here. I can name it DevOps dot dash home. I mean, sorry. Yeah. And here I can say prefix DevOps middleware this login. Yeah. So let's define this function pretty quick. So here we can say return view DevOps.auth.login. Yeah. So in the resources folder, in views, in auth, so we can create a new folder here called DevOps, and inside that I can create another folder auth, and inside this I can create login.blade.php. Yeah, so let's copy the code from here itself. Yeah, so Shopify app, instead of that it will say DevOps login, and where is that form? Yeah, so instead of login, normal login, it will say DevOps.login. So let's define this route quickly. Oh, I'm sorry. So get one is already defined with this name. So I think I have to login.submit, I can call it. Yeah, this will work. Check login, and I can name it this one. Yeah. After that, let's define this function in check login function in DevOps controller. So I can say public function this request, and I can dd out. Yeah. And also let's define the dashboard one, so I can show you public function dashboard dd in dashboard. Yeah. So let's run PHP artisan optimized once, and it should work just fine. So let me refresh, and here I can say DevOps/login. So now it says DevOps login. Why does it point to index.html? I should remove that probably. Okay, so this one. Yeah, so now it removes it. Yeah, so let's try to log in. So that user doesn't exist yet, so I guess I should say devops@gmail.com 23456, and here we go. This is the token, this is the email, and this is the password. So I can write the logic out here inside DevOps controller. So I can simply say guard DevOps like this. So that should work just fine. Email and password, yeah. So instead of redirect intended, we can do just redirect route DevOps home, or we can do just return back with error, email or password does not match. Yeah, we can do this. We submit, it went back. So in DevOps login, I think get error. So DevOps again, 1234566. Yeah, email or password does not match. So now we get the proper response here. Let's refresh once more, and let's create a seeder for it. PHP artisan make seeder DevOps seeder. Yeah. So now that we have created the seeder, so let's go into it, and let's just take the user seeder and just replicate it here itself. So instead of user, I can say DevOps, and let's take hash here. Name would be devops@gmail.com. Instead of super admin, it would say DevOps. Let me remove this line itself. Yeah, DevOps@gmail.com. Yeah, that should work. And in database seeder, I can just call this call DevOps seeder dot class. Okay, so DevOps seeder, cool. I think I missed an S here, but anyway, doesn't matter. DB seed. Yeah, so the DevOps seeder is now finished. So here we can just copy the email like this, paste it here, 1 2 3 4 5 6, hit enter, tried it, and I got it working now. So basically I had to run php artisan config clear after I did everything, and let me take you through the changes one by one. So in web.php we still have this. I think I should maintain the middleware for guest DevOps, but we will see that later. Let me just check it. Middleware, it would be guest DevOps. So let me run PHP Artisan Optimize one more time, and let me see what happens here. Still like this, and if I manually hit login, then yeah, I'm still here. And in the middleware redirect if authenticated, yeah, this middleware, I had to add this one function because it loops over each guard one by one, but it will redirect to the same home that is defined in the route service provider. So I have to remove this here, and it says return redirect route DevOps home. So if I refresh, then yes, I will not be able to go to the login page once I am logged in. So the guest middleware is working fine, and it will stay like this. And in DevOps PHP, I had to remove the extends model from here, and I had to put extends authenticatable. Yeah, I think I said this correctly. Yeah, so it is the notifiable up top, and here's the authenticatable. Yeah, so guard is DevOps, and fillable is the same as the user, and public timestamps is false. So this is the model configuration. We make sure to maintain the guard here also. It should match it, and our config auth php stays the same. So here auth.php, the changes that I showed you before, it is the same ones. Okay, so in DevOps controller, you can see that I am printing this message in dashboard for user auth guard DevOps arrow user arrow email. So for the general one, how we would do auth user. So here we just add this additional function here. So it will specifically check for this guard, and it will yield out who the user is. So let me zoom out. Yeah. So if I show you here, so now it says in dashboard for user devops@gmail.com. So which means that we are here and the authentication is working fine. Okay, so that is multi-authentication. You can implement this, and you can have your own conditions written, and you can define your own routes, tables, views, and everything, and you can work with it. My personal opinion about multi-authentication, how we did it just now, it's not useful so much in my opinion. You can just simply maintain all your users inside one user table, and you can segregate them by their roles and permissions, and you can work that way, because you also get blade directives. You also get some functions on the user model, like has role, has permission to, syncs permissions, something like that. Having a different table entirely and then managing the authentication from there, it's could be a little troublesome to maintain the app in the long run. And also in the auth.php, which is inside the config, we are making some framework level changes which I'm not really comfortable with. My opinion is that when once you have a framework, leave it as it is and just build on top of it. Don't go around in the configurations and change things here and there. It might put you in trouble later stage in development. All right, so that is for this video. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed it. This is me, Sid the IT guy, and I'm out. Thank you.